This is 18-year-old Carla Wolker. Carla was a senior in high school in the year 1974. She did her best to get good grades and was described as a very happy and kind-hearted person. Carla had begun dating a fellow student named Rodney McCoy, and together they would attend a Valentine's Day dance. After spending some time at the dance, they decided to leave and go to the local bowling alley where other people their age would hang out. The couple would park their car outside of the bowling alley, not knowing that they were about to be attacked by a very angry and drunk man.
So let me just start by talking. We're not going to ask you anything until let me say some things first, okay? We're here because we are looking into the murder of Carla Walker. And we've done a very thorough investigation. We know what happened, and our evidence has led us to you, okay? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I know you're confused, but you shouldn't be, because we know what happened, okay? Now this is your opportunity to talk to us, to tell us your side, because I have bosses that I have to answer to, and what they want to know is that if you have any regret, if there's anything that you can tell us that doesn't paint a picture of you that makes you look like a monster. Because frankly, right now, when you're talking about a young girl that got murdered, we only have one side, and we'd like to hear yours, okay? So that's why we're here today, okay? We know what happened, but we'd like to hear from you. If there's anything, hold on, okay? All right, before we go any further though, okay, I gotta read something to you just like in the movies.
This is Glenn McCurley, and in 1974, on the same night that Carla and Rodney parked outside of the bowling alley, he was driving around in his truck and drinking hard alcohol. His search for a victim to kidnap would lead him to park at the bowling alley. That's when he would notice Carl and Rodney making out in their car. Glenn would walk over to their vehicle, open the door, and point his handgun at Rodney and pull the trigger 3 times. The gun would not fire, so Glenn would use it to knock Rodney unconscious. Glenn would then grab Carla and drag her to his vehicle and drive away from the scene.
It's up to you. You know, you can either talk to me or not, but we'd really like to talk to you today.
Then I did something to that girl?
Yes, sir.
I don't think so.
You don't think so, what?
That I did. I don't know. I've never seen the girl or anything. When was I supposed to have done this?
Okay, so are you willing to talk to me today about this case?
The other day when you came.
Okay, but are you willing to talk to us today? I mean, it's like I said, it's your right to either speak with us or not. You know, but I got to be clear on whether or not you're willing to talk.
Well, I don't know. I don't know anything about this stuff.
Okay.
Rodney would regain consciousness and inform the police as to what had happened. The police would begin their investigation, and they would find a handgun magazine on the ground near the crime scene. The weapon the magazine belonged to would not fire unless it was inserted securely into it. This would explain why Rodney was still alive, but the police had no idea where Carla was. Further investigation would reveal that the day after Carla was kidnapped, another magazine was purchased at a gun store by a man named Glenn McCurley. The police would interview Glenn about his purchase of the magazine, but Glenn would tell them that he had purchased the magazine because they had been on sale. When they asked if they could see his weapon, he told them that it had been stolen out of his truck while he was fishing one day, and he had not reported it because he had a criminal record, and he was worried they would not believe him. The police would not have enough evidence to arrest Glenn, so they would continue the search for Carla. That was the last time they would speak to Glenn about the case until the year 2019.
That's what the whole thing was over, that I understood.
Mr. McCurley, can you look at that picture and just tell us for sure that you do not know who she is? You've not had any contact with her?
I've never seen her before. I don't know who she is. If she's standing right beside of me, you say it's what's her name?
Carla Walker.
I've
So you've never met her before, never seen her?
I've never seen her, never met her, never talked to her, I wouldn't know her if she was standing beside of me. But then I'm not, I guess it's not any importance anymore. But there was two guys in a pickup, and I went to check. I had that pistol in under the seat, wrapped up in a cloth, and I didn't think anything about it, and everything looked all right. And then later on, I found out that they had stolen that pistol. And I told the police that came to talk to it at the time that I didn't have the pistol, that it had been stolen. And let's see. They took me downtown and questioned me and all this and that, and I told them exactly what I'm telling you and everything and what happened. And they said that they had found a clip for a .22 pistol. And I didn't know anything about it. They thought that gun might have been used in the robbery or something. So they found it, and
Carla's body would be found 3 days later in a ditch near a local lake. They would also find DNA on Carla's clothing, but because they did not have the DNA technology that they do today, the evidence would be sealed and the case would be closed until the year 2018.
Real quick, she did read you your rights. Just want to make sure that you understood them and that you're willing to waive your rights. We're not saying you did anything, we just want to make sure you understood those and you're waiving your rights and willing to talk to
well, I
us.
don't understand any of that.
It just basically means that you're willing to talk to us today. Either you're willing to or you're not, which I think you are, but we just need to be clear on that, okay? So basically, if we talk today, then it's because you want to, not because you have to. You don't have to talk to us, but we would like to talk to you. But
I don't even know when this girl was done that way, or I don't know anything
But
about
before we get into that, we need to know that you understand what Detective Wagner read to you and that you're waiving those rights and are willing to talk about it.
Well, that's what I'm trying to get to, is how you and that other guy.
well, in order for us to discuss this case, you have to be able to, you're gonna have to waive your rights to talk to us about it. Otherwise, if you don't waive your rights, we gotta stop, okay? So it's one or the other. We can talk about it and move forward, which requires you waiving your rights, or we stop. But it's one or the other. So we'd love to talk to you, but again, it's up to you whether or not you want to move further. Do you understand that? That's why we said terminate. If you're not comfortable talking, you can stop the interview.
Do you agree to talk to us today, Mr. Curley?
I would agree to talk, because I haven't done anything.
Okay.
But still,
So you're agreeing to talk to us, sir?
I agreed to talk to you the other night, and I told you about my gun, and you told me that you were putting me on the suspect of doing something. Just for losing a clip and a gun, because I went down to the store and bought another one to replace it. And they come and talked to me and asked me why I bought another clip. I said, well, I bought another clip, I ran into a good price on one. And I was going to buy another gun, another pistol like that, because it had been stuck. I didn't have one. And that's as far as I'm into the whole thing.
Okay.
I mean, and you turned it around the other way. That's your job.
We're not trying to confuse you. We would like to talk about this case with you today, but we need to know that you're okay with talking about it.
Well, I don't know the girl. I've never seen her.
Okay. So do you want to
And
discuss?
I haven't killed anybody, like I told you the other day. I'm 77 years old, and I'm not into that kind of stuff.
Well, if you'd like to know more details, we just need to know simply if you would be willing to talk about this.
Well, I don't see how you could have anything on me because I don't know anything about it.
The police reopened the case after analyzing Carla's clothing and putting the DNA they found into a database. It wouldn't take very long for a match to be found, and they would begin to watch Glenn's home. Eventually, they would see Glenn taking out his trash, and they would find a straw inside that had his DNA on it. Once they had the DNA confirmed, they would ask Glenn to come down to the police station to answer some questions. Glenn would continue to deny ever knowing Carla, and he would stick with the story he told the police over 40 years ago.
I have to ask for
You're saying I killed somebody, and
I'm
I
saying
did
you
not.
did.
I did not kill anybody.
Then what did you do?
What do you mean, what did I do? I don't know what I done. I didn't do anything.
You kidnapped her.
I didn't kidnap anybody.
You did. You kidnapped her.
But somebody saw me do this?
Yes, somebody did see you do it.
No.
You made a mistake. You left her boyfriend alive.
I did not kidnap anybody.
Her boyfriend is alive.
And he identified me as
He
the
is a
guy.
living witness. Okay? You
No.
made a mistake. You
I
left
did
him
not
alive.
do anything
You
like
did.
that.
You did.
Mr. Curley, this really is your time to be able to get this off your chest. And to
If
say
it
what
was
happened.
on my chair, I didn't do anything like that. Not do anything like that. But I haven't done that.
Maybe you didn't mean to.
No, I didn't mean to. I didn't do it. I did not kill that girl.
Did you kidnap her?
No, I didn't kidnap her. Whoever said they saw me do that is wrong, because I've been with my wife all the time. Back all those days,
Your
we
wife was
never
out of town.
separated. We never separated and been away from each other. Because she's got a bad heart, and I've got a bad heart.
Your wife was out of town and visiting her dad because he had surgery. He had heart surgery. She was gone during that time period. She was not there.
Her dad, I was with him.
No,
No,
she
you were
said she
here.
went without you. She just said last week she went to go see her daddy because he had heart surgery. You were not there. She went. She was out of town.
Where was she out of town at?
In Midland.
With your two boys.
No, that never happened.
After pretending to cry, hoping to gain sympathy, Glenn tells the detective that he was with his wife on the night of the crime. Glenn used this alibi before, so they've already looked into it and they have found that his wife and children were actually out of town when the crime took place.
That's what
She
she
wouldn't
said.
go to, she doesn't, I don't even let her drive.
This was 46 years ago.
I know. And she's still the same way. She doesn't have the reflex of driving.
Well, she said she was gone. She said she was out of town just last week when we talked to you. You were right there next to her when she said it.
She went out of town to Waco to school down there, and I drove her down there and came back with her every time.
She said her dad had a heart surgery.
He had heart surgery here in Midland, in Fort Worth.
Well, she said she was out of town.
1974, he was in the hospital. You were working.
He had to work.
He had work.
Well, if I was working, I was probably on the road driving.
Not when this happened, you weren't.
Where was I?
You were off. You worked that day, but you were off that night. When this happened, you were off.
I don't know where you get your information. If I didn't.
That came off your schedule from 1974.
You were
Directly
scheduled.
right off your work schedule.
I didn't do that to that girl.
Didn't do what?
Whatever it was done to her, because I don't know her. I've never seen her, never talked to her.
prior to that night?
What do you mean?
When you're saying you never talked to her, are you meaning prior to that
I've
night?
never been this close to her if she was right there. I don't know her.
Did you ever hear about what happened to her back then?
I heard some stuff on the news and stuff, but that's,
What did you hear?
I don't know. I don't remember. Some little girl got killed or something. And I didn't have time to pay attention to those things then. But I was working. It's not my deal.
Mr. McCurley, we're going to step out for a minute. Would you like some water, something to drink, soft drink, water?
I guess more.
We'll get you some water.
The detectives would return, and for almost 2 hours, they would do their best to persuade Glenn to confess to the crime. They would get very close to a confession, only for Glenn to change his mind and continue to claim innocence. After 2 hours of back and forth, they would finally get Glenn to confess to the crime. His confession, however, was very strange. He starts off trying to be the hero of the night, but at the end, even he knows it doesn't make any sense at all.
Were you inside or outside?
I was outside. I'd parked in the parking lot.
It's just people watching.
I don't know if it was or not. I heard a girl screaming in the car over a couple of cars away from me. And I went over there to see if I could help. And
What'd you see?
there was this big guy. I had her up against the door, jerking her around and this and that kind of stuff. And I opened the car door to help her out. Got her and put her in my car.
When you went to help her out, what did you see was going on inside the car?
I couldn't tell if he was wrestling against her or something. I don't know.
Okay.
And she was screaming and yelling. I put her in my car and got her calmed down. And we talked about some things. I don't know. I asked her why he was beating her up or whatever he was doing. She started hugging me, thanking me. One thing led to another. I told her I was going to take her home, and she said she didn't want to go home right that minute. We'd driven somewhere, I don't know, parked on a lot somewhere. And I let her out of the car. I don't know too much from there on.
Need you to tell us why you felt like you had to kill her.
Were you afraid she's going to go to your wife?
I guess.
Give me some more tissue.
Glenn would plead guilty to the crime and receive life in prison without the possibility of parole. While in court, Glenn would listen to the testimony of Carla's boyfriend Rodney as he explains what happened that night over 40 years ago.
Carla had put her purse behind her head.
So she put her purse behind her head?
Behind her head, because it was uncomfortable.
Was that, so that would have put the purse between her head and the door frame?
Right.
Okay.
And I was on top of her. I wasn't, not quite to the top of her head or anything. I was like from here down on top of her. And the car door yanked over. Carla's head had fallen back past the edge of the seat and was hanging out in the opening, past the roof line. And the way I was positioned, I kind of fell with her.
And what happened next?
Well, my head then, as I fell forward, was just open target. And he was able to come down on the back of my head with the force that,
When you let go of her a little bit.
I had let go. And I believe at that time, Carla had raised upright into the seat. And I had pushed myself back away from the car, the roof line. And it was such an intense ringing. I was totally stunned. And I couldn't move. I pushed myself up and the blood was flowing and I was just staring straight ahead.
Did you find out at some point when this part was going on, what it was that had struck you in the head?
Not until the last few moments.
How was it that you discovered what it was that had struck you in the head?
Because he had stuck his arm with the pistol into the car, inches from my forehead. His face wasn't down below the car line. I'm sure he was doing that purposefully, where I could not see him. And he pulled the trigger 3 times. And all I heard were the 3 clicks.
And so when he pulled the trigger, nothing came out of the gun?
Nothing came out of the gun.
You mentioned before you were able to see a figure as they walked away.
2 steps, that's all I saw. 2, that's all I can remember. And Carla turned her face to me and I can visualize and said, "Rodney, go get Dad. Go get my dad."
If you have found this video informative, then please think about subscribing. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time here on the Red Tree Crime YouTube channel.